Gertie! It's the bazaar fireworks!
But Gertie was adamant. She had no intention now of being at their beck and call. If they could run like Rossies, she could sit. So she said she could see from where she was. The eyes that were fastened upon her set her pulses tingling. She looked at him a moment, meeting his glance, and a light broke in upon her. White-hot passion was in that face, passion silent as the grave, and it had made her his. His hands and face were working, and a tremor went over her. She leaned back far to look up where the fireworks were, and she caught her knee in her hands so as not to fall back, looking up, and there was no one to see, only him and her, when she revealed all her graceful, beautifully shaped legs like that, supplely soft and delicately rounded, and she seemed to hear the panting of his heart, his hoarse breathing, because she knew about the passion of men like that, hot-blooded, because Bertha Supple told her once in dead secret and made her swear she'd never about the gentleman lodger that was staying with them out of the Congested Districts Board that had pictures cut out of papers of those skirt dancers and high kickers, and she said he used to do something not very nice that you could imagine sometimes in the bed. But this was altogether different from a thing like that, because there was all the difference, because she could almost feel him draw her face to his, and the first quick hot touch of his handsome lips. Besides, there was absolution so long as you didn't do the other thing before being married. And there ought to be women priests that would understand without your telling out. And Cissy Caffrey, too, sometimes had that dreamy look in her eyes, so that she, too, my dear, and Winning Rippingham, so mad about actors' photographs. And besides, it was on account of that other thing coming on the way it did. And Jackie Caffrey shouted to look, there was another, and she leaned back, and the garters were blue to match on account of the transparent, and they all saw it, and they all shouted to look, look! There it was, and she leaned back ever so far to see the fireworks, and something queer was flying about through the air, a soft thing, to and fro and dark. And she saw a long Roman candle going up over the trees, up, up, and in the tense hush they were all breathless with excitement as it went higher and higher. And she had to lean back more and more to look up after it, high, high, almost out of sight. And her face was fused with a divine and entrancing blush from straining back, and he could see her other things too. Nainsook knickers, the fabric that caresses the skin, better than with those other pettywith, the green 4 and 11, on account of being white, and she let him, and she saw that he saw, and then it went so high, it went out of sight a moment, and she was trembling in every limb from being bent so far back. He had a full view high up above her knee. No one ever, not even on the swing or wading. And she wasn't ashamed. And he wasn't either, to look in that immodest way like that, because he couldn't resist the sight of the wondrous revealment half offered, like those skirt dancers, behaving so immodest before gentlemen, looking, and he kept on looking. She would fain have cried to him chokingly held out her snowy slender arms to him to come, to feel his lips laid on her white brow, the cry of a young girl's love, a little strangled cry, wrung from her, that cry that has rung through the ages. And then a rocket sprang, and bang, shot blind blank, and oh! Then the Roman candle burst, and it was like a sigh of oh! And everyone cried, oh! Oh! In raptures, and it gushed out of it a stream of rain gold hair threads, and they shed, and ah! They were all greeny dewy stars falling with golden, oh, so lovely, oh, so soft, sweet, soft. Then all melted away dewily in the grey air. All was silent. Ah! She glanced at him as she bent forward quickly, a pathetic little glance of piteous protest, of shy reproach under which he coloured like a girl. He was leaning back against the rock behind.
Leopold Bloom, for it is he, stands silent, with bowed head before those young, guileless eyes. What a brute he had been! At it again! A fair, unsullied soul had called to him, and wretch that he was, how had he answered? An utter cad he had been, he of all men. But there was an infinite store of mercy in those eyes. For him, too, a word of pardon, even though he had erred and sinned and wandered. Should a girl tell? No, 1,000 times no. That was their secret, only theirs, alone in the hiding twilight, and there was none to know or tell save the little bat that flew so softly through the evening, to and fro, and little bats don't